Hi folks, it's Mayor Gearity coming to you this Saturday afternoon, or is it evening yet? I am on my way to grocery shop, so I thought I'd take a couple of moments to touch base with you about a couple of things that we'll be looking at this Wednesday at our village board meeting. Our OVAC, Ossining Volunteer Ambulance Corps, is just such an amazing organization, and they have been instrumental in keeping our municipal workers safe. They have a system for sanitizing our police cars, for example, every day. And we have just been so fortunate to have them as a partner throughout. We're going to be talking about if there's a way financially for the village board to help support some of the tremendous efforts that OVAC has been undertaking on behalf of our community. And that's one of the topics we'll discuss on Wednesday. And then we're going to be looking largely more broadly at budget expenses, doing a recap or a review of what are all of the big expenses, capital projects, initiatives that we had been intending to undertake this year, and are we going to continue with them now? Are we going to delay them? Are we going to pay for them differently than we might normally have paid for them or anticipated paying for them? As you've heard me mention before, if you regularly tune in, we have a healthy fund balance in the village of Ossining, and that's great for us. Just for occasions like this, it's a rainy day fund, and this is certainly a rainy day from a financial perspective. But what we have been doing in recent years is paying for capital projects by using that savings rather than borrowing it. And our intention had been to pay for a number of our capital projects from our general fund, and maybe we still will, or maybe some of them we will consider funding in a different way. Right now, interest rates are as low as they could possibly be. And here's the thing, for anybody who really enjoys municipal budgeting, here's a mini lesson. The fund balance is our savings that we have, and we can dip into that as needed, and we obviously are going to need to this year. We're going to need to dip into that fund balance even more next year, and this takes us back to the assessment notices that everybody got a couple of weeks ago. Right now, you just got your property reassessed for the 2020 year. It's based on the value of your property last July 1st, 2019. And this is a very, very different economic circumstance we're in right now. Our overall assessment value, the assessment rolls in the whole town of Ossining went up by $212 million, at least for the preliminary rolls. There obviously people are right now contacting the assessor's office and Tyler Technologies to suggest that if they think that they were improperly assessed. But the thing is, we know it's going to be higher this year because last year was a good year for the market. And if you wanted to sell your house sometime after last July 1st and the value went up, you'd be happy because you'd be getting more money for it. But when you're in financial difficult situation like so many of us are right now, the last thing you want to do is have your house be assessed at a higher rate, because that means that the tax rate is based on the assessed value of your home for any given year. So let's just skip ahead to 1 year from now. I won't be mayor in 2021, but most of my colleagues who are on the board now will probably be there or will be there that year. And I will be a resident of the village of Ossining, and I don't want to see my taxes go up then. I want to make sure that there's plenty of fund balance for them to use in the 2021 cycle of considering the budget. Will actually be the 2022 budget. So when we sit down this fall, I want to make sure that we have plenty of money in the fund balance for us to plan for 2021. But I'm really concerned about making sure there's still money in that fund balance in 2021 when they plan for 2022, because that assessment roll is going to look very, very different. If this real estate market tanks, which is quite possible, at least for the short term, and we have a reduced assessment roll based on how the market looks this July 1st, then that means we'll be going into the following year, the 2022 budget, which they'll decide in 2021, with an assessment roll that just took a $212 million leap 1 year. It's going to go down that and more. And that means that there will be a reduction in the revenue, because unless they raise taxes a lot or they have a fund balance that they can draw from. So that's the reason to have a healthy fund balance. And I'm really grateful for all the many years that we have had conservative budgeting so that we have that healthy fund balance. But we're going to take a good hard look this Wednesday to decide how we can maintain that fund balance for the upcoming year by spending less this year than we had intended to, and then really looking ahead to the year after that and after that, when we start feeling the financial impact in our assessment rolls from the financial devastation that this crisis is causing for us right now. So I don't know how many of you I lost in that explanation of municipal tax fund balance and assessment rolls. But it's something that we're really thinking about. We think about it a lot. Usually we think about it mostly during the budget season, but now we've started for weeks now. Every week we've been talking about what can we do to take a look at what we plan to spend money on this year, and how we're going to prepare for next year's budget and the budget after that. These are tough times, so we have to be very, very thoughtful and diligent in our decision making. And that brings me back to two important, one really, really important thing to keep in mind that is tied into all of what we're talking about. How do we have enough revenue to be able to pay the bills, to be able to pay the sanitation workers that we all appreciate so much, and our parks workers and our police officers and everybody who is dependent on a salary from these public funds. And a portion of that comes directly from our census numbers. For example, the sales tax revenue that we get in the village of Ossining, the town of Ossining, the school district of Ossining, all the taxing entities get a proportionate amount of sales tax revenue based on our census data. Our 2010 census data is woefully out of date. We have had a significant increase in population in the last 10 years, which we know from our school district numbers. It's clear that we've had a lot more families moving into Ossining, and we know that from a variety of metrics. But that doesn't change what the numbers that they got in the 2010 census. And we know that we were undercounted in 2010. We had about 64% of the known households in Ossining that responded in 2010. This year, we're already at about 52%. We still have some time to get those numbers up, and we are moving up. I was pleased to see we got past the 50% mark, and we are moving up the ranks of compared to our neighbors. But I'm a little concerned. Sleepy Hollow, we passed them, and then they started having a resurgence. So we need to get our numbers back up there. I'm going to do some outreach to our Spanish-speaking community. My colleagues on the board who are native Spanish speakers, who certainly speak better than me, have been doing that. Both Trustee Quesada and Trustee Lopez. We've had a tremendous connection among organizations in Ossining to be doing outreach in English and in Spanish from trusted organizations like Neighbors Link, like Open Door, the school district, the village, the town, all working together. But it's a really tough time to be talking about the census. It's a really tough time to be telling people who may not trust their government on a good day and feel a little bit concerned about their status in this country. If there's anyone in their family who is an immigrant, or particularly an undocumented immigrant, raising your hand and alerting the government to exactly who you are and where you live might make you nervous, no matter what's going on in your life. And we have such an inability to reach out to people the way that we normally would to make folks understand how important the census is. So we're going to keep working really hard at getting the message out and helping people to understand how important it is, and helping people to feel safe that their information will be kept confidential. Anything you can do to help would be phenomenal. We need that. We all need to. It's all hands on deck for this. And so with that, I'm going to now get ready to get some groceries. And got my mask here I'm going to put on. I'm going to do a little hand sanitizer before I go in, and hand sanitizer as soon as I get back to my car. I don't know if you're a glove person. I'm not a glove person. If I worked in an industry where I was trained to use gloves properly, I'm sure I would use them as instructed. I tend to feel like I often see people wearing gloves and touching 4,000 different things and just transmitting things, and they don't wash their gloved hands anyway. So I'm a big hand washer. I will now, in this crisis, I use hand sanitizer before and after I go anyplace. That's not so much for my benefit necessarily. That's for anybody else. In case I touch something, I'm reducing the transmission. That's really what the mask is about, is to protect other people from me being a potential unknown asymptomatic carrier. But anyway, I'm not a mask person. I think there's kind of two schools of thought on the value of, I'm not a glove person. I am a mask person at this point. It's all an evolution, but we'll see if I ever become a glove person. The one thing I will say is, if I ever wear gloves, out and about doing my grocery shopping, I will take them home and throw them in the trash, or I will throw them in the trash when I leave the place where I was wearing them. The gloves on the ground thing was driving me crazy. I feel like it's let up a little bit. I feel like we peaked a couple of weeks ago of the glove litter. Thanks to anybody who really drew attention to that. I think we may have shamed a few people into not tossing their gloves on the ground. But right now, here I go. Time to get groceries for my family. I wish you all well. This is going to be my one weekend update. I will tune back in with you on Monday. I've not gotten the case numbers of positive cases for today, but I will say we've seen a precipitous drop in the number of new cases. We only had 8 new cases on Friday versus Thursday. So I am excited to see what the weekend numbers are. And those interesting thing is we're going to have more and more testing. Antibody testing is is coming to us now. We're getting first responders are getting the first round of antibody testing through the state and county program, and after that we'll do other essential workers, and then we'll have a better sense of who all has been, how much of our population has been exposed, and that will help us have a better understanding of how we can responsibly have phased openings of businesses, and maybe we'll all get to be somehow in a space together, even if we're 6 feet apart wearing masks, in some spaces where we haven't been together for the last month and a half. I wish you well. Be safe. Stay home. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Be kind and patient with others. It's a tough time for everyone. And thank you so much to all of the folks on the first line, on the front line, our first responders, all of the essential workers who are keeping things moving and safe, helping us all stay healthy. Be well.